It's very difficult. So if you go to the Discover Life website, there's a bunch of different guides on here to different organisms. And one of them, right, is moths. And I can click on Michigan and I can go through a guide without any technical knowledge. I can pick what is the general shape, what is the color, and so on. And so I started using Discover Life, and then kind of found out again about the Listen website, and the goals were sort of the same. How do we get information out to people to learn about their environment, to collect data, to be able to answer these big questions about what's going on with birds, what's going on with insects, what's going on with the health of our environment. And so the project that I'm on here at Michigan State is called Moth Education. It's a NSF grant funded project. It's just kind of getting started. We've had 1 year. And so I just want to quickly share this as another possibility for those of you who are interested in getting students or yourselves out into local environments, asking questions, collecting data, and wanting to incorporate that. And this fits great with Listen because moths are one of the major food sources for birds. The caterpillars, Doug Tallamy, if you know his name, he talked about bringing nature home, counted at one point, he said, estimated about 6,000 to 9,000 caterpillars to fledge one group of chickadees. So like having moths in the environment is very important. And so this project, I don't know why, right? Like I said at the very beginning of the session almost an hour ago, is we're trying to work with younger students to give them authentic research experiences. And by that, again, I mean giving students agency, student ownership, however you want to say it. We're not just telling them, go collect these data, and here's how you're going to analyze it, and here's what the types of answers you're going to get. We want to position them as scientists, right? Scientists help ask the questions. They help design the project. Once they collect the data, they start discussing results with other scientists and figure out what the next steps are. So there's a lot about collaboration in this. And the same thing can happen with Listen. Students go out, they come back and they say, I heard these 5 birds. What birds did you hear? Well, I heard 8. Which ones were some, like, it just builds that collaboration and that discussion. And that's what real science is. It's not just following a sort of a standard cookbook and getting some result that we already know what's going to happen. So if we're going to look at moths in the environment, I mean, you can go out and count caterpillars on leaves, but most people focus on the adults, and they will go out at nighttime, although there are day flying moths. And they might put up a black light, a UV light on a sheet or on a building. Okay. This doesn't work very well for me. I'm old. I like to be in bed. This doesn't work good for young students to be up, in the middle of the night counting moths. So what we can do instead is used to be able to buy these traps. The company's gone out of business, but you can get batteries and hook up a black light, collect traps into this funnel system, and then you can put pesticide in there so that they don't flutter around and damage themselves, and you collect them in the morning. Okay, but this type of a setup costs several $100s. You have to lug batteries, right? That doesn't work if we want students to be able to do the research themselves and ask the questions at their places. And so what we've basically been working on is a do-it-yourself moth trap that is really simple and easy to use. It's made out of 2 2-liter pop bottles. And so this is what it looks like. There's basically the base of one of the pop bottles is the collection bucket. The middle part is one pop bottle that's cut into thirds and kind of creates veins. You can put a little cap on top, and then you put a little keychain LED light. They sell them for 50 cents. a piece, and they can put those out and see it. So again, just real quickly, it's real easy to do. Depending on how old your students are, they can cut things themselves. Sometimes it's teachers or families that help them out, but you cut the top off, you create a funnel, you kind of cut the center part out and flatten it. You cut those three pieces, and then you kind of reverse them. You create this 3-pane system, you tape it together, and then you put them all together, and you have a trap. Right? This is what it again looks like up close. You don't have to use Fago if you're not in the Midwest area. You might not even know what Fago brand is. You can set these out. These lights only last one night. There is a way to take the battery out and use rechargeables, but most of these times, just for ease of sake, you last one night. But they're 50 cents a piece, and so you can send it out with a class for pretty cheap. Okay, and then what's it look like when they bring the moths in? They can sort them. They can ask questions. We want to count how many moths, how many were not moths. We might want to count how many brown ones versus gray versus red. You know, how many big ones versus small ones. Whatever questions they ask, they can kind of sort and count. They can build a collection that they can then compare from previous classes in previous years. And they're, you know, pinning moths is something that students are able to do. We have down to second and third graders pinning moths. They have small fingers. It actually works quite well. Some students are a little bit squeamish about doing that. So you can actually just glue moths to a little paper point and do the same thing. But we're in the process of developing this program to be able to roll out. And basically it takes about 4 to 5 classes. You kind of do an introduction, you build the traps, send them out. When they bring them back in, you can kind of pin and analyze them. And if you want to repeat it, you can do that. So again, very quickly, I wanted to share that as another sort of technique to be able to get students asking questions about what's happening in their environment. It does tie in with the birds, right? They could do a comparison of what moths are in their area with the birds. Do they get more moths in areas with more birds or vice versa? Lots of different options. But for either of these, the Listen or the Moth program, if you're interested in more information, if we didn't get to all the questions you had, please just send me an email. This is what I'm working on. I want to get it out to as many people as we can. So we're kind of up to the next.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Brian? I am going up next in our discussion session to talk about OER, so I'm happy to go a few minutes over if need be, or anything like that. So flexible. So if anybody has any comments besides about the Fago, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Rock and what is it? Rock and Rye
Rock and
sounds like
Rye.
a really interesting flavor. Yeah, I want to try that.
I think, again, it's a Midwest thing. I'm guessing there are different brands in different parts of the US and of course other countries that aren't there. But
do you have to use a chemical at the bottom of the bottle trap?
yes, so there is a small pesticide strip that we can put in there. It's something